Who's there? Oh, me, again. It's the next day, and everything is cured and set up. Now I've just got a lot of sanding ahead of me. Well, I think I'm going to be going over this whole deck with some 40 grit, just because I want to get most of this existing paint taken off, and then get this all knocked down, smoothed over, and faired in. And then I'm going to be coming over and giving this entire area kind of a skim coat with some the epoxy mixed with the 410 or their fairing filler. All right, now when I'm troweling this on, as I mentioned before, this is just basically going to be a skim coat to kind of fill in any little imperfections that were left from the sanding, and also to kind of blend in the repair work that we did up towards the front of the helm here. Now for doing this, I'm going to be using two different size spatulas, or whatever you want to call them. The first one is just a 6-inch. I'm going to use this for getting the majority of the material kind of moved around. And then because this is our fairing coat, this is going to be the last time that we're going to, I guess, be messing with the shape of the deck. For doing that, then I'm going to be going back over with a much wider trowel. I believe this is around 12 inches wide. And again, the reason for doing this is the more area you can span when you're trying to smooth something out, the more gradual any kind of transition or changes in curvature, the more gradual they're going to be. So by going over with a wider trowel, it's going to help just to help bring the deck into shape and fair it out. So that's the plan. I'm going to start towards the forward section of the deck and work my way back. And I'm going to be keeping this a fairly thin mixture, just for the reason that after I trowel it all out, you never get it troweled out perfect. If I have any little ridges coming off of the side of the trowel from the passes that I make, if I leave the mixture or the epoxy a little on the wet side, it'll kind of flow out and just kind of smooth over on its own, so that tomorrow I'll have a nice smooth surface for sanding and getting ready for priming. So I've gotten all of the epoxy sanded down, and before I start getting too far ahead of myself and mixing up my primer, I wanted to just kind of double check all the slopes on here to make sure that the water is going to drain off properly. And starting aft and working forward, I've got a nice peak right in the middle, so the water is going to shed off on either side there, as well as here. Forward here, I also have a nice camber on the deck. So that's the good news. The bad news is that going fore and aft, from here to this section right in the mid deck here is good. It's actually a little high on the forward, which means the water is going to shed aft. That's good. But what's not so good is that the aft section of this deck is sloping this way. So essentially what I've got is a low area right here. Both, the forward section is sloping this way, the back of the deck, or the aft section of the deck is sloping this way, creating a low section right here, which means that this is where the water is going to pool. It's still going to want to shed off to the sides, but that means that I'm going to be getting water collecting right in through here on both sides. There's nowhere for that water to go. It has no way to escape, so it would just be sitting here. So I've got one of two options. I can either, one, look at trying to raise this entire forward section of the deck, kind of elevate this a little bit more so that it does actually slope all the way back for draining. But the problem is that there's almost this low spot right in the middle here is low by a good ½ an inch. So to actually raise that so that it would slope all the way aft, look at my level here, I would need to raise this entire forward section of the deck almost 3/4 of an inch. And that really isn't an option, because if I raise it that much, I'm going to actually be bringing the deck up to almost halfway up on this trim. You can't do that. This fly bridge, or this upper helm, is meant to be removable for transport, and just the way that it was built, it's meant to be removable. So I can't permanently tie this helm into the sole. Not really an option. So the next best alternative is going to look at putting in some actual drains right here and right here at the lowest section of that slope, and allow it to drain off on the sides. Now, looking over on the side, on the outside edges of where this water would actually be draining, it would be draining off just aft of the two salon doors, or the pilot house doors, which, that's fine. That's actually a good spot for it. But so now I need to look at, there we go. I need to look at carving in a weep hole here and allowing that to go all the way through this combing and drain. So that's my speed bump for the day. So let's, hopefully there's nothing inside of here. This is just a hollow combing, so I'm hoping. Let's find out. Now ideally, I'd like to be able to drill this hole right here, but I can't get my drill in here because I've got a cleat. So I've got to pick one side or the other. And I think I'm going to try and pick just forward. Yeah, this looks like this actually is a little bit lower than on this side. So I'm going to try and find the lowest point, and I'm going to try drilling basically a 1-inch hole right through here. Let's keep our fingers crossed, because I have no idea what's back here. I don't like surprises. I think that worked well. I'm going to come in and open up these bottom edges here just to give it a little bit more of an area for this to drain inside. I want to have the weep hole large enough so that if there's any leaves or dirt or gunk, that kind of flows in here, that the weep hole is large enough to where it can't clog up with stuff. So I'm going to open it up just a little bit more, but I think that's going to be our solution. I like easy solution. I like easy. Easy is good. Well, that was a success, and honestly, it's about as good as I could have hoped for. What I wasn't able to see on the interior was another cleat like this that's used for mounting this upper bridge. Well, when I drilled through, this is what I got. It's basically an inch and a quarter piece of solid glass, which means that I drilled through solid glass on that cleat. And that's good, because if it were wood, then I'd have to try and find a way to get in there with some epoxy and seal the inside edges of the hole that I just drilled through this cleat. So this is solid glass. I don't need to do that. So now I've got a nice clean drain hole going all the way through this combing, and that fixes our problem. So let's do the other side. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to go ahead and start getting the primer mixed up, because before I left today, I want to get this primer laid up, and so that I can come in and start painting tomorrow. I'm hoping to have this upper upper helm finished on Tuesday. Today's Sunday afternoon, late afternoon. So but I'm gonna get my primer laid up, and then as part of the finishing details, what I'll end up doing then is coming in with a little Dremel tool and just kind of rounding off the bottom edges of the holes that we just drilled, just to make them look a little nicer. So, but that's going to be finished detail. I can do that after the painting is done, or I can do that some other time, but I want to get my primer laid up. So I'm going to do a wipe down up here and then start mixing up my primer, because that needs to induct. That's the word I'm looking for. The primer needs to induct. I'm using all grip primer again, 545, just like I used on some of the previous videos that I did on replacing gel coat non-skid with all grip. So if you'd like to find out more about the process that I'm going to be going through here, please go and check out all those videos. They're posted on my website, boatworkstoday.com, and click on the More Videos tab, kind of up in the right-hand corner. And I also go through a pretty detailed process of the priming and the painting, and then also applying the flattening agent and sprinkling the non-skid particles and everything else. Basically, everything that I'm going to be doing on this deck is already in those videos. So I'm not going to be showing that for this deck, but I will show you the finished project once this is all wrapped up. For right now, I think this is going to be the end of what I'm going to be recording today. So I'll see you guys later, and enjoy your weekend.